The storm outside had barely quieted when the door of the small cafe swung open and a little girl, no older than 8, stepped inside, shivering, clutching a paper envelope to her chest and looking around with the kind of fear that didn't belong on a child's face. And in that moment, before the single dad even knew her name, his entire life shifted because the little girl whispered that she had come instead of her mother, her sick mother, who was supposed to be his blind date. Right here, right now. Viewers, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the unexpected ways life brings people together, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Ethan Miller, a quiet, hardworking single dad with tired eyes and a heart that had known more storms than peace, had come to the cafe reluctantly. His sister had set up this blind date for him after years of watching him pour everything into raising his son, Liam, and nothing into himself. Ethan wasn't sure he even remembered how to date, how to trust, how to start again. But he came anyway, hoping maybe, just maybe life still had something soft left for him. What he didn't expect was a little girl with tangled brown curls, soaked sleeves, and a trembling voice telling him that her mom couldn't come because she was too sick to leave bed, and she didn't want to stand him up. The little girl, Ava Thompson, said she had taken the bus on her own, believing it was the right thing to do because her mother always said that good people shouldn't be disappointed. Ethan felt something break inside him. Not a bad break, but the kind that comes when a man realizes the world is still full of innocence and bravery. He invited her to sit, gently placing his jacket around her tiny shoulders. She kept clutching the envelope, as though it contained pieces of a world she was terrified to lose. She explained that her mother, Emily, had been sick for months, growing weaker each day, smiling less, coughing more, skipping meals so Ava could have them. And yet, Emily kept telling her daughter stories about hope, about how someday someone would join their little family, someone kind, someone steady, someone who would stay. Ava came to see if Ethan could be that someone because she didn't know how much longer her mother could hold on. As Ethan listened, he found himself thinking of his own son, waiting at home, and how children see truths adults hide from. Ava wasn't just a kid trying to keep a promise. She was a child fighting to keep her mother alive in any way she could. He took her to get something warm to eat, watching how she smiled only after making sure he ordered nothing expensive. That broke him even more. Children shouldn't know the cost of food. Children shouldn't wear fear like clothing. And yet, Ava carried her fears with the quiet dignity of someone who had been forced to grow up too soon on the way out. As he escorted her to the bus stop, she slipped him the envelope. Inside was a single photograph of Emily, a woman with gentle eyes and a soft smile. Behind the picture was a handwritten note, shaky but sincere, apologizing for missing the date and explaining that she hadn't wanted to cancel because she didn't know when she would feel strong again. She wrote that if Ethan was kind enough to forgive her, she would like a second chance on a day when she wasn't coughing through her words. Ethan stood there, staring at the picture of a woman he had never met but suddenly felt connected to through the bravery of her child. He couldn't send this little girl home alone again. He insisted on driving her, something she resisted until he gently explained that fathers understand fear better than anyone, especially when it comes to children. She finally agreed. The drive was quiet, filled only by the hum of the heater and Ava softly tracing hearts on the fogged window. Their destination was a small, worn apartment complex at the edge of town. The hallway smelled of bleach and exhaustion. In the bedroom, under fading blankets, lay Emily, pale, fragile, startled by Ethan's presence but too weak to sit up fully. She tried to apologize, her voice thin, her eyes lowered, embarrassed by her condition and the messiness of her life. Ethan didn't judge. He saw the truth instantly. A woman fighting a battle she didn't have the strength to win alone. He stayed longer than he intended, listening to Emily talk about how she had tried her best to give Ava a safe life, how she had worked 2 jobs until her body gave out, how she was scared of becoming a burden to her daughter. She didn't expect pity. She only wanted Ava to have someone steady around her, someone kind. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Liam slowly became part of their lives. Not through grand gestures, but through small, steady moments. dropping off groceries when Emily was too weak to stand, helping Ava with schoolwork, letting the kids play together in the park. Ethan found himself looking forward to evenings where Emily, feeling a little stronger, would sit by the window and watch the children chase each other while talking to him about books, dreams, and the quiet parts of life that people rarely share anymore. She was gentle but resilient, exhausted but hopeful, scared yet still believing in love. And it stirred something in Ethan that had been quiet for years. But life isn't a straight path. One afternoon, Ava called him in tears, saying her mother had collapsed while trying to cook. Ethan rushed over, carried Emily to the car, and drove faster than he ever had to the hospital. The doctors said her condition had worsened due to untreated pneumonia and months of pushing her body beyond its limit. Ethan stayed through the night with Ava asleep in one chair and Liam in another, while he watched Emily through the glass window, praying silently for a woman he barely knew but already desperately didn't want to lose. She pulled through, but barely. The recovery would be long, delicate, uncertain. Ethan visited every day, bringing warmth to a room that had seen too much fear. Emily told him she didn't want to drag him into her struggles, didn't want her brokenness to become his burden. But Ethan reminded her, without words, without declarations, that caring for someone isn't a burden when your heart has already chosen them. As weeks passed, Emily healed slowly, Ava bloomed again, and Ethan found himself becoming the stability their world had lacked. One rainy evening, when Emily finally walked outside without assistance, Ethan realized that the fear he had held for years, the fear of loving again, of losing again, had quietly dissolved. Because this time, love didn't come as a sudden blaze. It came as warmth, steady and patient. It came as a child's courage, a mother's resilience, a second chance he never expected. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It tells YouTube that these emotional, real-life stories matter, and it helps us bring more of them to you. Before we end, please comment below. Would you have gone to the cafe that night if you were Ava? In the months that followed, the two families blended not through ceremony, but through everyday tenderness, shared breakfasts, homework at the kitchen table, late-night talks, and quiet gratitude. Ethan never forgot the moment a little girl walked into a cafe, shaking in the cold, carrying nothing but an envelope and the weight of her world. And Emily never forgot the man who opened the door not just to her daughter, but to a future she once thought she would never live long enough to see. The love that grew between them wasn't dramatic or loud. It was steady, healing, built on compassion and second chances. And sometimes that is the kind of love that lasts the longest.